All right. So tonight's class, restorative, have your blocks, your blanket, your strap, your bolster, whatever is going to make you feel comfortable tonight. We are going to do a very slow-paced, introspective, contemplative practice that basically kind of goes along the lines of this summer radiance that we have, but everything's so go, go, go right now. So we need to slow down to balance that go, go, go energy out. So let's start tonight by being in a supported bound angle pose. So you're going to take a bolster and we are going to possibly grab our blocks if we think we're going to need it. And we're going to take the short edge of the bolster to the small of the back. If you would like to use the blocks, have them on either side of you. But we're going to start with the feet flat on the floor, knees bent, and then we're just slowly going to descend over the bolster, relaxing the arms. And you might just stay here. Maybe this is where we're at. Maybe we straighten the legs. Maybe this is where we're at. Or if you'd like, you can bring the soles of the feet together, and here's where you'd bring your blocks if you needed them, so that you can place them underneath the knees, just so that you can spend some time here relaxing, centering, grounding. Good. Begin to notice the breath. Tonight's practice is all about expanding our perspective, but not necessarily doing more. It's more about softening into what's already here. Sometimes as we move through our day, through life, we're always looking outward, trying to control or fix what we perceive. But in yin and restorative, it teaches us to turn inward. And in this stillness, we often begin to see differently, not just with our eyes, but with our full awareness. So tonight, let's let this time be an exploration of space within the body, within your breath, and within your mind. Good. You can allow the events of the day to just sort of melt away. Here's our first opportunity to bring our awareness to this present moment, exactly as it is. We don't need to change anything. I want to notice where we are right now in this moment. It means noticing without judgment. So if the hips are tight tonight, that's okay. Or if we notice the low back is tight and we need to lower ourselves down by folding a blanket instead because the bolster's too much, that's fine too. And then bring your awareness to the breath. Notice the inhales, the exhales, and even that tiny space between. Let's begin to deepen the breath if you haven't already. Filling up the belly, the ribs, the chest, exhaling from the chest into the ribs and out the belly. Notice where you feel the expansion. Is it just in the front of the body, or do you notice the back of the body responding to the breath? Is it just in the trunk of the body, or do we also notice it in the pelvis? Our pelvic floor is deeply connected with our breath. You might feel some expansion there on the inhales. And you might feel some release in the pelvic floor with every exhale. And at this time, I invite you to set an intention for your practice tonight. So maybe it can go along with this exploration of awareness during the summer, or maybe there's something else that speaks to you tonight. It could be just simply breathing, or it could be just being in the present moment is what you need tonight. Whatever it is, on your next inhale, take a deep breath in. Exhale, sigh it out. One more time, inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. And just let the breath do its own inhales and exhales. We're going to take a moment here. Slowly and gently, you might straighten one leg and then the other, and then carefully bending one knee and then the other. We're going to gently roll off our bolster, being mindful of everything that's around us. Take your time coming up. Good. And then we're going to end up on our left side, or whichever side is easier for you. But we're going to end up on our side, and we're going to take like we're laying down and watching TV. So our knees are going to be bent. We're just going to hang out here. Our bottom hand is going to be supporting our head. If you have a block nearby and you'd like to use it, let's grab it and put it in front of those knees. Maybe about like 4 to 6 inches in front of them. Then we're going to straighten our bottom leg, and we're going to keep our top leg bent and rest that knee on the block. So our top leg is resting on the block, bottom leg is bent or straight for the moment. And now we're going to bend that bottom leg and we're going to reach for that foot. Breathe if those quadriceps are barking. Good. Now, if for some reason this is too intense, you can always grab your strap and you can include your strap to sort of help support you here. Just brings that foot a little closer. We're going to take about 4 more full rounds of breath on this side. This is our cattail stretch. Last round of breath. And slowly release. Carefully bring the legs to stack. You can grab your block and bring it with you, or if you have the other one on the other side, you can just turn over, and we're going to do the opposite side. All right, so again, coming into the position where you're just like you're watching TV on the floor, we're going to straighten the bottom leg and then take the top leg, keep it bent, and rest it on the block. Then we'll bend the bottom leg, reach back for the foot, and breathe. Good. I'm just gonna look over my shoulder and check on you guys. Good. About 4 more full rounds of breath here. Last round of breath on this side. And slowly, gently release. And now we're going to come onto our backs and grab onto our straps. So for this next sequence, we're going to need some space around us. So if you need to move your bolsters or whatever out of the way, your blocks, because the legs are going to move. So on our backs, just take a moment here first to just sort of feel out the low back, notice how everything is doing, maybe check in with the breath or your intention. And then we'll unfurl our straps and wrangle the right leg. Good. So we stretched the fronts of the legs. Now we're going to work into the backs. So your left leg can be bent or you can straighten. It's whatever feels more comfortable for you. The right leg, we want to try to keep it straight without locking your knee. So you can have a gentle bend to the knee, that's fine. And the goal here is to feel opening, a stretch in that back of the hamstring. And we're flexing our right foot as if we were stamping it onto the ceiling. And we're just going to breathe here. And I want you to think about pulling that right femur down into your right hip. It's going to be a very subtle shift, but it may deepen the sensation for you. Sometimes when we have the leg lifted, that right hip wants to lift a little bit. So when we think about pulling that femur down and just locking it into that hip socket, we might be able to find a little bit more, just a tiny bit more sensation for that hamstring. Now let's take both sides of the strap in the right hand. Left hand is going to float down to the left hip to keep it grounded. On an exhale, we're going to drop that right leg open to the side. Again, that left leg could be straight or it could be bent. Whatever feels more comfortable here. Good. So this is hitting the inner thigh a little bit, but still the hamstring mostly. Breathe. On an inhale, bring the leg back to center. Switch hands on the straps. Right arm's going to float down to a T on the floor. Exhale as we cross that right leg over to the left side. So that right hip lifts up off the mat. It's trying to stack over that Left hip, it may or may not be totally there, and that's okay. The shoulders, both of them stay grounded. I like to keep my head gazing upward, but if it feels comfortable, you can take the gaze over the right shoulder as well. So the target area here might be that outer right hip, as well as the IT band, iliotibial band. That's our word of the day. We're just gonna breathe and think about sinking into the mat a little bit deeper. And again, that left knee could be bent or it could be straight, whatever feels comfortable for you. On an inhale, let's slowly lift the leg back up to neutral, bringing both hands to the strap just a little bit longer. And I want you to just kind of notice, can we pull that femur down into the hip? And then on an exhale, slowly release it down. You can set your strap down for a moment and just relax in Shavasana for a moment. Hands can come down by your side. They can rest on your belly, whatever feels comfortable. We can enjoy that sensation of the right leg being longer than the left. And then when you're ready, pick up that strap and we will do the other side. So left side. Good. So we might feel a little bit different on this side. Maybe this side's a little tighter. It could be a little looser. Just be aware of that. Right. Good. So then come to, since now we know structurally what we're doing here, including locking that femur down into the hip, just kind of notice, how does your perspective begin here? In stillness, we're going to meet the edge of resistance, right? Because it's one of those things that we often will feel where, like, I can't wait to be done with this pose. We have to ask ourselves why. Is it because it's hard or challenging? Is it because we know we're tight? What is our perspective of that? And let's shift as we bring the left hand to both sides of the strap. Right hand floats down to that right hip. On an exhale, drop the left leg open. Right hip stays grounded. If it wants to lift, don't let it. Pull it down. Let that hand be a reminder. Good. So again, we're in the inner thighs here. Feel the expansion, not just in the inner thigh, but how do you meet this challenge and be calm? When there's so much going on, we got to keep that right hand and hip grounded. We got to be open. Shoulders are still grounded on the mat. On an inhale, we're going to slowly and gently bring the leg back up. Switch hands on your strap. Left arm comes down out to the side. And on an exhale, we're going to drop that left leg over. Both shoulders stay grounded. And again, you might keep your head gazing upward, or you might choose to gaze over the left shoulder. Either way, it's a new view from the same place. Both internally and externally. This is where the right side and the left side might differ, as a lot of people have a little bit of a disparity between their dominant leg and their non-dominant leg. So you might feel tighter in the hip and the outer thigh than you on one side than you would on the other. Inhale, come back to center. Grab both sides of the strap, foot's up towards the ceiling. We lock that femur into the hip a little bit. And on an exhale, release the leg down. Set your strap off to the side. Good. Awesome. We're going to carefully roll over onto the belly. We are going to do a little bit of core stretching. So let's start in Sphinx pose. So elbows should be about underneath the shoulders, palms flat on the mat. Tops of the feet pressing into the mat, as is the pelvis. Now, the head and neck is up to you. You might choose to have more of a neutral head where your head is kind of facing, I don't want to say directly forward, but it's kind of down a little bit so that your gaze can look maybe about 6 inches in front of your hands. Another option would be just to drop the chin towards the chest. This might feel really good. And then the final option would be to take the gaze upward. Either way, you can play with it. I want you to think about squeezing the glutes just enough to press the pelvis into the mat to be grounded. And I want you to breathe into your abdomen. So we want that diaphragmatic breath. That's going to help us stretch out the core. A couple more rounds of breath here in this version. And then if we would like, we could stay here, or we can push into the palms to lift the elbows to come up to seal pose. So nothing much changes. We're still pressing the pelvis into the mat. We're still pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. The only difference is now we've lifted the arms. Shoulders still pulled down and away from the elbows. Wow, ears. And we might begin to walk the hands closer to the body. So this is going to deepen the back bend. You go only as far as feels comfortable for you. As for the head and neck, again, you can have a neutral head. You can bring the chin downward. You can bring the gaze upward. Maybe you do a little bit of a neck roll here from side to side. I would advise against doing full circles here. Just a little bit. And then slowly and gently begin to lower all the way down. Stack the palms to rest on the mat, and then let your forehead rest on your palms. Relax everything, glutes, your baby toe, everything relaxes, just melts into your mat. Good. And just reflect on what you're noticing, what changes here. A pose of full rest versus a yin or restorative pose. Very slowly bring the hands up underneath the shoulders. And we're going to carefully press our way up and grab your bolster. We are going to take a supported child's pose here. Knees are going to be apart. You're going to slide the short edge of the bolster between the knees, big toes touching. And then you're just going to lay the torso onto the bolster. Glasses might come off here. We're going to hug the bolster just a little bit with the arms, and then the side of the face is going to rest on your bolster. And I want you to think about a heavy sit bone. Your sit bones draw downward towards the heels, even though we're resting our heads on the bolster. Let's breathe here. Find what is tight and soften around it, using your breath, using your awareness. If you have your head turned in one direction, go ahead and turn it in the opposite direction. And so what we're doing here is we're finding expansion, excuse me, in the back body. The whole body gets an opportunity to just release. 4 more full rounds of breath here. Good. And we're going to bring our hands underneath the shoulders and slowly press on up. We're going to slide the bolster forward and take the left thigh and bring it right up against the short edge of the bolster. And we're going to take our mermaid pose. So the right ankle can sit into the inner arch of the left foot, or you can bring the feet around and legs around to be more like a pinwheel. And then we'll twist over the bolster, inhale, lengthen, exhale, hinge and fold. So you might need a block for the head if that feels comfortable for you, especially if you have more up in front. Or you can just take your gaze in the same direction that the knees are going. That's totally fine. Mermaid pose. This is wringing out the side bodies, giving the body a nice detoxifying twist. Almost imagine just letting go of anything that you've been holding on to, like a bad day, or maybe you're beating yourself up over something. Maybe you spilled coffee and it's made you grumpy. Whatever it is, you can just let it go. Just imagine a dirty wash rag and you're just wringing out all of the water. We got about 4 more full rounds of breath. And slowly and gently bring the hands up underneath the shoulders. Slowly press up. And then we're going to take it to the other side. So transitioning slowly and mindfully as we bring the right thigh up against the short edge of the bolster. Set up your legs however feels comfortable for you. Inhale, lift and lengthen as we twist over the bolster, and exhale, releasing downward. And you can take your gaze over the opposite way that the knees are going or in the same direction that the knees are going. Always being mindful of your neck. Just release into the props. Just let go. Let go and explore your awareness here on this side, in this moment. Got about 4 more full rounds of breath on this side. When you're ready on the inhale, let's bring the hands up underneath the shoulders and press all the way up. Good. We are going to keep our bolsters. We're going to turn them perpendicular to us, however. And let's grab our blocks. And if you need to put a blanket down to support your knee, feel free to do so. The bolster is going to stay here because we're going to transition from one pose to another. So blocks are out in front because of my short T-Rex arms. You do not have to have them. But we are going to bring this right foot forward. The bolster is just going to stay there unused for the moment. And we're just going to come into a low lunge. So left knee is still grounded. This is just to open through the hips. Again, we're trying to get the whole body. So this is the front of the hips. If it feels like you're not getting as much of a stretch in the front of the left hip, you can always come up onto the right knee with the hands, and that might deepen the sensation for you. But just explore where you're at here. Breathe through it. Got some gunk on my glasses and I hate it. Good. 2 more breaths. On an exhale, bring your hands back down to the blocks and slowly, gently shift the hips back to straighten the right leg. This is where you might bring your blocks back. You can bring your blocks up onto the bolster as we get into the hamstring just a little bit. So we don't have to hinge quite as far forward if we don't want to. It's just a mild stretch, just for transition. And then we're going to carefully bend the right knee and we're going to walk that right foot over to the left side of the mat and settle onto our bolster for a supported pigeon. This is where we're hitting the back of the hip or the glute. So being upright, find where you want to be there for just a moment, and then we're going to shift perspectives and come down into our sleeping swan version of pigeon as we come down to our forearms on 1 block, 2 blocks, or no blocks, or we stay on our hands, whatever the body needs today. Right foot is flexed to protect our knee. Sometimes when we get into this pose, we like to relax the foot, but we want to keep it engaged. Same with the back ankle. Sometimes that back ankle likes to, the left ankle likes to sickle. We want to keep that foot active, almost like we're pointing the toes. Breathe. So for the beginning part of the practice, we spent a lot of it on our back. Now we're more on our belly. We're facing the floor. These poses are often more of a balance between effort and surrender, because there has to be some parts that are working and some parts that are letting go. Notice the sensation you're feeling in the glute. Not necessarily to conquer it or beat it, but to just listen more fully to it. 3 more full rounds of breath here. And then very carefully come back up onto the hands. Sit off to that right side so that we can carefully bring that left leg around. The bolster might have to shift out so that we can come to our reverse broken table. So hands behind us, feet flat on the floor, and just windshield wiper those knees from side to side. Good. Just notice how that right hip is feeling in relation to the left. And then we're going to come up to a seat real quick before we transition to the other side. Bring the soles of the feet together and sit upright. Hands to the ankles or the feet. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, hinge and fold. Bound angle pose just to get into those inner thighs a little bit. It's also a good way to just sort of notice how everything's feeling so far, especially since we did a supported one earlier. It might feel different. And then slowly inhale to come back up. And then we are going to set ourselves up for the same sequence on the opposite side. Take your time. Left foot comes forward. And shift the hip forward as we come to that low lunge. Your hands can be either on the blocks or on your knee. Good. Yeah. And just breathe. Good. Got about 3 more full rounds of breath here. And slowly and gently on an exhale, release the hands down to the blocks if they're on the knees. And then we're going to straighten the left leg and just hinge forward a little bit. Just to hit that hamstring as a counter stretch. Inhale, let's slowly and gently come forward, and we're going to walk that left foot over to the right side of the mat and settle down onto the bolster. Be upright for a moment to really feel the sensation in the glute. And then we'll slowly and gently release down onto our forearms on our blocks or on the mat. So even in these very slow-paced, intentional movements and long-held poses, we can find some heat within the body. Be with that for just a moment. About 3 more full rounds of breath here. And slowly and gently come on up to the hands. Sit off to that left side. And let's bring that right leg around. We're going to move our props and come back into that reverse broken table so that we can windshield wiper those knees from side to side. Good. Perfect. And then we're going to come down onto our backs. But before you do so, this is our final relaxation. So if you would like to set yourself up, we can definitely do like a yoga lazy boy where you take one block at its second level and one block at its third level. And we can set our bolster up on it and then bring the short edge of the bolster up against the small of the back. And then you can rest like this. Another option would be to create Stonehenge with your blocks and bolster, where you can set them both up at their highest, drape your bolster over it, and then you can bring your legs onto it to lift them up. So these are a couple of the options. There are many more options. Feel free to do whatever feels comfortable for you. Take your time getting there. All right. You can have some water, absolutely. Good call. All right, so here we are in our final relaxation pose, and that means there's no more doing. Let yourself be exactly as you are. Make those last minute adjustments before fully surrendering into relaxation. We'll take a deep breath in and exhale, sigh it out. One more time, inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. Allow the breath to resume its natural ebb and flow. Allow the body to fully relax into the props. Bring your awareness now to the crown of the head and the forehead. And allow the muscles to rest and relax. Allow the eyes to sink down deep into their sockets, to rest and relax. Allow the muscles of the face and the low jaw to rest and relax. Allow the neck and the shoulders to rest and relax. Allow the upper arms and the forearms to rest and relax. Allow the hands and each individual finger to rest and relax. Moving now to the chest and the upper back. Allow the muscles to rest and relax. Allow the belly and the low back to rest and relax. Allow the hips, the glutes, and the pelvis to rest and relax. Allow the tops of the thighs and the hamstrings to rest and relax. Allow the knees and the hollows of the knees to rest and relax. Allow the shins and the calves to rest and relax. Allow the feet and each individual toes to rest and relax. Feel the weight of the body being fully supported. Know that you are safely anchored here. And allow your conscious awareness to begin to expand beyond the body, beyond the space around you. And just for a moment, imagine yourself seated against a palm tree, warm sand beneath you, the soft sounds of the surf in the distance, and the sun warm and high in the sky. Notice the radiance of the sun over the water, glittering through the sand and illuminating everything else that you can see along this beach. including yourself, your feet, your legs, your lower torso, your chest, and your arms and hands. Here is where you haven't got a care in the world, and you can just allow yourself to simply be. Noticing the sounds, the sights, the things you can feel, the smells, and maybe even the taste. Someone might be offering you a pineapple. Just be with that imagery for just a moment. And know that you can always come back here at any time, any place. It's only as far away as your imagination is. And then bring your awareness back into the body. Begin by deepening the breath and invite slow, subtle movements into the fingers and toes, flexing and extending wrists and ankles. And just very slowly and organically reawakening the body bit by bit. Eventually rolling over onto whichever side feels good, or you can stay exactly where you are. And just take this opportunity to honor and offer gratitude for all that you are, for your body and everything it does for you each and every day, for the people in your life that love, nurture, and support you. And lastly, but most importantly, for just being you, for offering your gifts that are unique to you to the rest of the world. You are worthy of all things good. Slowly and carefully, with as little effort as possible, come on up to a comfortable seated position. Eyes may remain closed or softly gazing over the tip of the nose. Hands come to Anjali Mudra, prayer in front of the heart. The word namaste means the light in me, honors and welcomes the light in each of you. It also means thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste. For my friends that are online, I bid you good night, and I hope to see you again.